This was a brutal massacre. Inside the nightclub, handsome men and beautiful women were slaughtered by a giant mower, turning the scene into a blood-soaked hell. The few who survived rushed to escape, but as soon as they reached the hallway, they triggered hidden traps and were killed instantly. Seeing this, the remaining crowd scattered in panic. Suddenly, steel doors slammed shut, trapping a group inside. Then, from above, the collector activated a switch. Thick steel plates began closing in on them. They tried to hold them back, but it was as useless as trying to stop a falling mountain. Now trapped in a cage, they were consumed by the terror of approaching death. Nearby, Elena tried to save her best friend but could only watch helplessly as she was brutally killed. As Elena sobbed in despair, the collector's eyes gleamed as he stared at her. Clearly, she was his next target. Realizing the danger, Elena turned and ran, only to bump into a bloodied man around the corner. It was Arkin, the man the collector had locked inside a wooden trunk in the previous film. If you're interested, you can check out my channel for a recap of the first movie. But before Elena could call for help, the collector appeared behind her. Arkin had no choice but to escape alone, smashing a window with a body and jumping out. The collector then locked Elena inside a wooden trunk, calmly watching Arkin flee. Given the collector's skill, it would have been easy for him to catch Arkin. But why let him go? Let's keep watching. When Arkin awoke, he was already in a hospital. His wife Lisa rushed over after hearing the news, but as the couple talked, Arkin noticed a bouquet of flowers on the table. There was also a note. Lisa picked it up, and it read, "Collection. Get well soon. Can't wait to meet the family." Clearly, the collector wasn't done with him. Now, his family was in danger too. Terrified for his wife and daughter, Arkin told Lisa to leave the hospital immediately. She was to take their daughter to stay with his mother in the countryside and tell no one where they were. Just as Lisa left, a mysterious man arrived. He showed a photo of Elena and asked if Arkin had seen her at the nightclub. Arkin didn't hide anything, saying that before he escaped, he had seen Elena captured by the collector. But since she was a chosen victim, the collector wouldn't harm her until new prey arrived. Hearing this, the man, Lucello, breathed a sigh of relief and quickly reported it to Mr. Peters. Lucello was Mr. Peters' top bodyguard. He had once saved Elena as a child and now saw her as family. After learning that his daughter had been taken, Mr. Peters ordered Lucello to rescue her within 48 hours. To do this, Lucello offered Arkin a deal he couldn't refuse. He wanted Arkin to lead him and his team of elite mercenaries to the collector's lair. Arkin also wanted to end the nightmare, but he only agreed to show them the location. He didn't want to take part in the fight. Relying on the marks he'd carved on his hand, Arkin led the team toward the collector's hideout. Meanwhile, trapped inside the wooden trunk, Elena regained consciousness. She noticed a small hole in the box and immediately looked outside. She saw a man bound to a table and the collector standing beside him. The collector tortured the man mercilessly. His screams left Elena trembling with fear. Afterward, the collector placed a mask on the man, treating him like a finished work, and pushed him aside. When Elena looked through the hole again, her eyes met the collector's. Terrified, she shrank into a ball. Fortunately, the collector didn't attack her just yet. Once he left the room, Elena began planning her escape. She tore her bra, threaded it through the hole, and luckily, the clasp hooked the trunk's lock. But just as Elena was about to open the door and leave, she suddenly heard the sound of the door handle turning. Realizing the collector was returning, Elena quickly hid under a cabinet. Seeing the open trunk, the collector wasn't alarmed. Instead, he took out a jar of venomous spiders he had kept for years. Clearly, he wanted to toy with the girl for a while. Soon, countless spiders crawled toward Elena. She fought to remain silent despite her fear. Just then, an alarm sounded outside, drawing the collector's attention. He rushed out of the room. With him gone, Elena began scanning the room. Seeing a row of locks on the main door, her heart sank. Then, she noticed a ventilation shaft in the corner. She crawled into it and escaped. Meanwhile, Arkin's team had successfully opened the ground floor door. The alarm was triggered by them. Arkin thought his job was done and tried to leave, but Lucello changed the deal. Arkin had to help find Elena first because only he understood the collector's tactics. Left with no choice, though unwilling, Arkin was forced to lead them deeper inside. As they searched for Elena, they accidentally entered a strange room filled with dog cages. Before anyone could react, the next second, Arkin was attacked. The team quickly opened fire, not realizing they were shooting innocent victims who had been captured by the collector. These people had been injected with heavy drugs by the collector, leaving them mentally broken and violently unstable, like walking corpses who attacked anything alive. After such conditioning, they would obey the collector's every command. But the failure rate of this training was high. In the distance, piles of failed bodies were stacked, turning the place into a living hell. At that moment, a large group of deranged people charged toward them. Fortunately, under heavy firepower, they managed to take down most of them. and in the end, the group finally made it to a safe room. Meanwhile, Elena crawled through the duct and entered another room. There, she found a large trunk with a woman's voice coming from inside. She hurriedly opened the trunk and rescued a woman named Abby, and the two began their escape together. Meanwhile, Lucello's team of mercenaries barely had time to catch their breath when they discovered several large trunks in another room. Looking at the bloody footprints on the ground, it was clear these victims had suffered unimaginable torture. Suddenly, a young man staggered out of the shadows. Despite having guns pointed at him, he kept walking, begging them to save him. In the next second, the bomb attached to the back of the young man's neck suddenly exploded. Seeing this, Arkin seized the chance to slip away, knowing full well this team was no match for the Collector. Now that he had an opportunity to escape, Arkin wasn't going to waste it. He tried to leave this house of horrors, but accidentally wandered into the Collector's trophy room. As the lights in the room flickered continuously, the Collector suddenly appeared, slowly approaching Arkin. But just as the Collector was about to strike, Arkin sensed the danger and quickly hid when the lights dimmed. The Collector searched the room for him until the sound of a door opening caught his attention. It was Elena and Abby trying to find a way out. Just then, Elena's hearing aid began to emit interference noise. Seeing Elena wearing a hearing aid, Abby broke down. Hearing the noise, the Collector showed up.
You're not strong enough. You're at a disadvantage. You can't win. You weren't even supposed to get out. He's testing me. He's testing me again. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me.
Elena turned and ran in terror, while Abby curled up on the floor, waiting for her master's punishment. But the Collector ignored her and chased after Elena with a weapon in hand. He had no idea that Elena was hiding in the ventilation duct right above his head. She thought as long as she stayed hidden, she would be safe. But in her panic, she accidentally brushed against a nearby screw. Hearing the noise, the Collector looked up. Fortunately, at the last second, Elena escaped through the duct. Soon, she reached another exit, but as she climbed down, her hearing aid accidentally fell to the ground. Looking down, she saw it had landed on a bear trap. Without the hearing aid, she would be in even more danger. So Elena summoned her courage, quickly snatched the hearing aid from the trap, then carefully made her way through the narrow passage. Following a faint breeze, Elena entered a room and noticed an air vent on the window. She peeked through the vent and saw two men downstairs warming themselves by a fire. She shouted loudly, hoping they would hear her and come to the rescue, but the distance was too great, and no matter how loudly she screamed, they couldn't hear her. Meanwhile, Arkin entered a room filled with human limbs preserved in formaldehyde. These bodies had once been top beauties, but their deaths were horrific. He then heard sobbing inside the room. Following the sound, Arkin found a badly injured girl pinned to the wall. She begged him to save her. Just then, the Collector appeared. Arkin quickly hid while the girl kept crying, "Help me! Help me!" Seeing she still had thoughts of escape, the Collector coldly slit her throat. After the Collector left, Arkin continued searching for a way out, but was suddenly struck from behind. It turned out Lucello's team had found him. Dazed, Arkin looked up and saw the Collector on the ceiling. He tried to warn them, but was met with another heavy punch. In the next moment, the Collector dropped from above, taking down Lucello with just a few blows. Paz stood no chance and was hung up by the Collector, then sent away on a conveyor belt, while the Collector walked off casually. As his team members were killed one after another, Lucello was left as the only one remaining. Arkin told him that the only way to survive was to follow his lead, or else he would die too, but Lucello insisted that he had to rescue Elena.
I am not Leo without her.
Suddenly, a dark figure flashed past. It was the woman Abby. Once again, she falsely claimed that she had been captured and could help them find Elena. Abby then led Arkin and Lucello into a mysterious room. At that moment, the door suddenly slammed shut, and the room was filled with gut-wrenching screams. The sound also caught Elena's attention, and she followed it to where Paz was being held. At the same time, Lucello was moving deeper into the room, but once inside, he realized that the sound was coming from a radio. Meanwhile, Arkin spotted wires on the floor and realized it was all a trap set by the Collector. It turned out that the Collector had strung up Paz as bait in the next room to lure them into a rescue attempt. The chain attached to Paz was connected to a bomb in Arkin's room.
Get out of there!
Sure enough, when the chain was cut, the bomb exploded. Luckily, at the critical moment, Arkin smashed a mirror, and they managed to escape. It was here that the two groups finally met. When Elena saw that Abby was with them, she told Lucello not to trust Abby and said that she was insane. But Lucello thought that Elena was just scared and told her not to overthink, assuring her that he would get her out. Soon, they reached the room where Elena had spotted the exhaust fan. Arkin looked through a gap to check outside. Then he confidently said that if they gave him a gun, he could lead them to safety, and Lucello had no choice but to trust him. But as soon as Arkin got the gun, he unexpectedly shot one of the men. Just as Arkin had predicted, a large number of police quickly arrived on the scene. To help the police pinpoint their location, Arkin fired another shot at the police car. After 2 shots, the police accurately determined that the shots came from the abandoned hotel nearby. Now, all they had to do was wait for the police to search the hotel so they could escape. But as Arkin directed the others to hide, he noticed that Abby had quietly locked the room's door while no one was looking. Unable to hold back anymore, Paz punched Abby, and as Abby lost her balance, she accidentally triggered a trap. Suddenly, the room went dark, and the Collector appeared, armed and accompanied by 2 fierce guard dogs. Under a hail of gunfire, Lucello was shot while protecting Elena and fell to the ground. The 2 dogs viciously attacked Arkin and Paz, while the Collector took the opportunity to capture Elena. After Arkin dealt with the 2 dogs and was about to rescue Elena again, he discovered that Lucello's hand was caught in a spike trap. If he pulled out his hand, a giant bear trap above would instantly drop. So he told Arkin to go save Elena first. Arkin and Paz followed the sounds and located Elena, but they didn't know that the Collector had already set another trap. As an iron gate came crashing down, they were trapped inside a cage, and the Collector lit the fuse. The room was filled with gasoline, and the Collector wanted to destroy the evidence again, taking them along with his collection. Seeing the fuse burn quickly and realizing that time was running out, Arkin smashed the cast on his arm and told Elena to kick and break his still healing arm. By folding his arm to a 90-degree angle, he would be able to reach the lock and open the chain door. Fortunately, the plan worked. After Paz helped Arkin set his arm, they successfully escaped the burning room. But just as they were searching for an exit, the Collector suddenly ambushed and killed Paz. After a fierce battle, Arkin was knocked to the ground by the Collector, losing the ability to move, and Elena was thrown aside. Just as the Collector was about to deliver the final blow to Arkin, Lucello arrived in time. It turned out that before the trap was triggered, Lucello had used a guard dog's body to shield himself. Now he faced the Collector in a final showdown. Unfortunately, Lucello was badly injured and no match for the Collector. The dagger pierced his abdomen again and again. Watching Lucello die on the spot, Arkin, now regaining his strength, stood up and charged back into battle. He landed blow after blow on the Collector, and at that moment Arkin fought like a warrior possessed. Finally, he threw the Collector into a pit filled with corpses and gasoline, then lit a cloth and tossed it down. 1 second later, the Collector was engulfed in flames. At this point, Arkin was completely exhausted. Suddenly, a burning beam blocked his path. He collapsed to the ground, quietly waiting for death. Seeing this, Elena did not choose to give up on him. She smashed a nearby glass tank filled with formalin, letting the liquid pour out and extinguish part of the flames. Then she quickly ran over and pulled the injured Arkin to safety. In the end, they successfully escaped. Elena tearfully embraced her father. Arkin wanted to confirm that the Collector was dead, but all that remained at the scene was the Collector's mask. The Collector himself had already vanished. The scene then shifted to a house. A man, hearing a strange noise, went downstairs and discovered a red wooden trunk. It turned out that Arkin wasn't willing to let the Collector go so easily. He knew the Collector loved collecting insects. Given the Collector's expertise, he must have been an entomologist. Sure enough, after relentless investigation, Arkin finally uncovered the Collector's true identity and tracked him down. The Collector, the most insane and intelligent hunter in horror film history, was ultimately defeated by his own prey in the second film. But from the first movie, we could already see the signs. Arkin, for the sake of his family, had returned to a life of crime. In his first encounter with the Collector, he survived deadly traps with wit and calm. Faced with the Collector's lethal setups, he used his surroundings to his advantage, showing incredible survival instincts. Even in the face of certain death, he repeatedly risked his life to rescue the trapped Elena and Hannah, demonstrating a conscience untainted by hardship. At the end of the first film, although Arkin escaped the mansion, he was captured again by the Collector, his fate still shrouded in violence and destiny. In the sequel, Arkin became the key figure in confronting the Collector, leading a team of killers into the lair. While Arkin's revenge arc was thrilling, the plot had obvious flaws. The Collector's intelligence fluctuated wildly, allowing him to be defeated by his prey, which diminished the suffocating tension of the first film. Still, this remains one of the most brutal and intense horror sequels of the past decade. And The Collector 3 is already set for release in 2025, with Arkin and Elena teaming up once again to face the Collector. From the set photos, it appears that Arkin has been taken to the police station, while the Collector returns for revenge, becoming an unstoppable force of destruction. So, will the long-awaited third installment rise to greatness? Will it become the ultimate classic of the genre? Let's wait and see.